Welcome back to Askewed Reviews. And for the next 2 weeks, I'm going through the entire Mel Brooks collection. And today I am doing the 1974 film, Young Frankenstein. Here is your trivia question for today. Igor was supposed to get the brain of Hans Delbruck, but due to an accident, whose brain did he get instead? The answer will be at the end of this episode. So in the film Young Frankenstein, we meet our main character, Frederick Frankenstein. Or at least that's what he prefers to be called, as he is in fact the grandson of Dr. Frankenstein. But he prefers not to be connected with him due to his grandfather's crazy theories. Now Frederick, who doesn't want much to do with his grandfather, is about to become much closer to him due to the fact that he just inherited his estate. And along with the estate, he has also gained 3 assistants, Igor, Inga, and Frau Blucher. One night, Frederick and his assistants do manage to find his grandfather's secret room, where he kept all of the information on how to complete his experiments. So now that Frederick has access to this information, he of course has to attempt the experiment himself. So he manages to acquire a recently deceased body, he manages to secure a brain, and finally he uses the same equipment that his grandfather used previously. Will Frederick manage to complete his experiment, or will the villagers manage to stop him before he can? This movie was directed by Mel Brooks and co-written by Brooks and Gene Wilder. In fact, Wilder came up with the idea while he was working on the set of Blazing Saddles. The way that Wilder brought up the idea to Brooks is that he suggested doing another Frankenstein film. But Brooks stated that there's been so many. I mean, you have The Bride, The Son, The Ghost. And that's when Wilder stated, but what if we have the grandson, but he actually is not interested in doing the experiments, at least at first. Apparently during production, Gene Wilder and Mel Brooks only ever got into one big fight. They were both at Wilder's apartment when Brooks got enraged and threw a temper tantrum and started yelling and stormed out of Wilder's apartment. About 10 minutes later, Wilder received a phone call from someone saying, "Who was that madman you had in your house? I could hear the yelling all the way over here. You should never let crazy people into your house. Don't you know that? They could be dangerous." The caller was of course Mel Brooks, and Wilder knew that this was his way of apologizing. So you may not have known this, but Columbia Pictures was originally going to be the studio that produced Young Frankenstein. However, though, they were unwilling to increase their budget, and they were very much opposed to the film being in black and white. So, Mel Brooks decided the very next day to reach out to 20th Century Fox. Not only did they match the budget he wanted, but they were more than willing to do the film in black and white. So the way that both Peter Boyle and Marty Feldman joined the cast is both of them and Gene Wilder actually had the same agent, and that agent had a close relationship with the studio that was producing the film. Gene Wilder has stated that this was his favorite film to make. However, though, he also had an issue with constantly breaking character because of how funny his co-stars were. Now, what's interesting is, Wilder only agreed to do the film if Mel Brooks would promise not to appear in it. Wilder felt his appearance would actually ruin the illusion. Brooks agreed, but still did end up appearing vocally in the film, as he is the howling wolf, the voice of Frederick's grandfather, and the shrieking cat. In the film, Peter Boyle plays the monster, and he does a very good job. But what's interesting is, this film ended up being so much better for him, as he ended up meeting his future wife, Lorraine Alterman, when she visited the set to write an article about the film for Rolling Stone magazine. Cloris Leachman in the film plays Frau Blucher. Now don't worry, I'm not going to do the horse noise again. But what's interesting is she actually did her own makeup and added the mole for character. Now what's really funny is that she was told by Mel Brooks that Blucher means glue in German, and that's why the horses are freaking out. This is not true at all, and he was actually just messing with her. Madeline Kahn was originally the frontrunner for Inga, but Kahn ultimately chose to play the character of Elizabeth, which Terry Garr, who originally auditioned for Elizabeth, was then given the character of Inga. Kenneth Mars was brought in to play the character of Inspector Kemp. Brooks was very happy that Mars loved the idea of wearing the monocle over the eye patch. Also, Brooks knew that he would be so good at playing an over-the-top character due to his portrayal of Franz Liebkind from the producers. You may not have known this, but the character of the blind man in the film is played by Gene Hackman. He was uncredited, and the way that he got involved with this is that he and Gene Wilder were friends and actually tennis partners, and while playing tennis, Hackman asked if he could appear in the film. Also, his line in the movie of, "I was going to make espresso," was completely ad-libbed, and everyone who was on set at that moment could not stop laughing. Do you recognize the actor here who got kneed in the groin? This is Liam Dunn. Not only was he in this film, but he also played Reverend Johnson in the film Blazing Saddles. In the sequence Puttin' on the Ritz, Peter Boyle was the one who came up with how the monster would actually sing this. It was Gene Wilder who came up with the scene. Now at first, Mel Brooks didn't understand the idea here, and so he didn't want it in the film. But Wilder fought for it to be kept in, and after a bit of argument back and forth, Brooks agreed. Wilder asked why he eventually broke down, and Brooks said, "Because you fought for it." When preparing for this film, Mel Brooks found out that Ken Strickfaden, who made the elaborate electrical machinery for the original 1931 Frankenstein, was still alive and living in Los Angeles. Strickfaden had actually stored all of the equipment in his garage, and Brooks asked if he could rent it for screen credit in this film. Strickfaden was never actually credited in the original Frankenstein, so he agreed. Speaking of the original Frankenstein films, in a sequence in this movie, while the villagers are talking and gathering forces, they actually refer to the fact that there were 5 previous experiences they've had when dealing with a situation like this. What they're referring to are 5 of the original films: Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, Son of Frankenstein, The Ghost of Frankenstein, and Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman. Apparently, the scene in the film that took the most takes was when Igor bites Elizabeth's fur wrap. Every time Marty Feldman did this, he ended up with more and more fur in his mouth, and no one could stop laughing. Igor's shifting hump was actually something that Feldman just started doing while they were filming. Once it was noticed, they added that line into the film of it being noticed. Here's something fascinating you may not know, but in the film, the line that Igor has of "walk this way" ended up inspiring a particular rock star named Steven Tyler to write the song "Walk This Way" for his band Aerosmith. Now, just in case you were curious, the entire movie Young Frankenstein was filmed in California. In 2007, Mel Brooks did end up making a Broadway musical of Young Frankenstein. So when it comes to the film Young Frankenstein, I love this movie. It's definitely one of my favorites by Mel Brooks, and this is also when I think he really started hitting his stride and was making just one great movie after another. I do feel all of the main characters did a great job in this, but for me, Marty Feldman was really the standout actor for this film. So I'm going to give this one a 5 out of 5. Now, if you enjoyed this film, other movies I recommend checking out are Haunted Honeymoon, Transylvania 6-5000, The Rocky Horror Picture Show, and Frankenweenie. And now it's time for the trivia question from the beginning of this episode. Igor was supposed to get the brain of Hans Delbruck, but due to an accident, whose brain did he get instead? So Igor did initially grab the brain of Hans Delbruck, but ended up dropping it. So instead, he grabbed the abnormal brain, or as he called it, Abby something. By the way, in case you're curious, Hans Delbruck was a 19th century German military historian and a professor at the University of Berlin. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Askewed Reviews, and if there's a movie you'd like to see get a review, just mention it in the comments.